And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you, Aquaba, and welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Rasta Report here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, here on livinginblack.com. My name is Kedia Wadu, aka the Conscious Rasta. Weekday mornings, you and I get together live from 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. GMT, and 8 p.m. East African time. We get together with you and we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspectives. We deal with entertainment, economics, education, health, labor, law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all areas of human interactivity. And now we are dealing with culture. It is African history, our story. And we are taking East Africa, the shortest month of the year, and we're giving you a deep, deep background on where we have been, I have been, you have been with me, many of you, as I have written so many of the books. Today's date is Wednesday, the 18th of February, the year 2026 in the Western calendar, the Gregorian calendar. This corresponds to the year 6266 in the Kemetic calendar, to which we've realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, here on livinginblack.com. And let me become invisible here. It's a beautiful day in your neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in my neighborhood. I hope you feel positive. I hope you feel like you are wearing your crown. And that's what it's all about today. Wearing the crown, sporting the crown, re-crowning yourself. Let me tell you what we have on stock on the table for today. I think you are going to enjoy our conversation. I hope you will. Today on the Conscious Rasta Report, we open with a landmark book, Industrial Hemp, Uses and Opportunities, digging into how this powerhouse crop can drive textiles, biofuels, green industries, medicine, and real wealth creation for African and diaspora farmers. Then in hour 2, we pivot to our favorite topic of longevity, living superfood longevity, which gives us strategies for adjusting our lives to live long, healthy lifespan. It is a wonderful thing. We're talking about strategies. Master the strategies that give you high quality life extension. So that's what we have on the table today. And we're going to be mapping out our pathway forward using industrial hemp and using detox strategies and the superfood strategies of the second book. I stand before you, the community. I'm a very prolific writer. Actually, I've spent all this morning, which I did not do my morning HIIT. I went outside and the streets were wet, and I do not run in the rain. And streets were wet, so I stayed in and I used the time to go into and formatting another new book. Now I'm about 2/3 of the way through putting the new book together. It's going to be a book of photos, of pictures, all images, and with, of course, text around the images. It's quite a book on health and healing, and I'll reveal that to you probably by Friday or so. Believe it or not, I think I'm going to reveal it and send it to the printer. I hope it's not going to be too expensive, because the book is all pictures, and picture books tend to be a little more expensive, but not unreasonably so. And because of the way I've done this one, I'm going to make this one available to you, the listening audience. I'm going to do the best I can to keep the price and my profit margin to a minimum. I won't be able to do it too much because picture books are expensive. It'll cost me about 4 times as much to print the book, but it's going to be well worth it. Let's go into our first book for today. This is entitled Industrial Hemp, Uses and Opportunities. There is a long record of the use of industrial hemp in America and world history. From ancient tool roots in Egypt and China to the founding of the United States of America, we have found an extensive history of industrial hemp applications. Some of the most significant developments in history have had widespread access to hemp products at their core. We are witnessing an exciting exponential growth of modern and futuristic applications for this highly adaptable plant, the plant that can save the world. The introduction of legal cannabis into agriculture and agribusiness has tremendous opportunities. Servicing the new agroeconomy has triggered the appearance of numerous niche industries. Businesses are getting wealthy very quickly. Across the spectrum of industrial manufacturing, hemp has had almost miraculous applications. Medical marijuana is one of the most significant disruptions to current stressed healthcare industry systems for treatment and disease prevention. Hemp seeds and hemp seed oil represent the highest corridor of superfood nutrition. Bear with me. Text is a little small. I'm working hard. The path for climate protection will be greatly supported and enhanced by the introduction of hemp agroeconomics. I'm going to stop on that introduction. There's a little bit more of the introduction that takes place on the back page, but I'm going to go ahead and start with the beginning of the book. Chapter 1, Historical Uses of Hemp and Cannabis. Quote from Thomas Jefferson. Hemp is a first necessity to the wealth and protection of the country. Rapid changes taking place regarding cannabis. There is a long record of the use of industrial hemp in American and world history. Our generation is today presented with an amazing exponential growth of modern and future applications for this highly adaptable plant. There has been an explosion of industrial hemp themed conferences around the world. The formation of hemp industry trade associations has linked many industrial components from farmers to product distributors together in this exciting new market. There are reports of more than 50,000 distinct products made from cannabis in the market today. As so often politics follows economics, we can now bear witness to a rapid shift in legislation allowing expansion of product development, as well with the subsequent emergence of decriminalization and legalization for recreational use. An explosive growth market has created many jobs and significant tax revenues for those states where this new freedom has emerged. The reintroduction of legal cannabis into agriculture and agribusiness has tremendous opportunities. Servicing this new agroeconomy has triggered the appearance of numerous niche industries. Crop switching from wheat to hemp has allowed Canadian farmers from netting $30 per acre for wheat to $250 per acre for hemp. There are so many different strains of cannabis, demonstrating a wide variety of uses under a broad spectrum of climatic conditions. As such, servicing the seed supply need has created powerful new enterprises around the world, as well processing the various parts of the plant as well as cultivating and harvesting equipment, is opening multiple opportunities for applicable technology development. Across the spectrum of industrial manufacturing, hemp has almost miraculous applications. These include, but most definitely are not limited to, hempcrete building material, fiber as non-toxic insulation, oil as a safe alternative to fossil fuels, hemp fiberglass, a wide range of papers, fabrics, auto parts manufacturing, and a whole new frontier using cutting-edge technologies based on enzymes and microbiology. I'm going to skip forward. There's so much in the book, and the books are getting quite long, so there's no way in the world we're going to be comprehensive in just the first hour, but let's do the best that we can do. What is industrial hemp? We commonly use the word hemp for the entire plant species generally known as cannabis. As well, the term applies to cannabis strains specified for non-drug industrial use. Industrial hemp has a wide variety of uses. Reportedly, as many as 50,000 various cannabis-derived product applications are currently being utilized. These include paper, textiles, flax, silk, nettle, and blended with cotton, biodegradable plastics, construction, health, food, and fuel. Many researchers and advocates have increasingly noted its enormous potential in the global economy. And I have this quote. And the quote is from What is Industrial Hemp? It is one of the fastest growing businesses known and one of the earliest domesticated plants known. One of the fastest growing biomasses, not businesses, biomasses, and one of the earliest domesticated plants known. It also runs parallel with the, quote, green future objectives that are becoming increasingly popular. Hemp requires little to no pesticides, no herbicides, controls erosion of the topsoil, and produces oxygen. Further, hemp can be used to replace many potentially harmful products, such as tree paper, the processing of which uses chlorine bleach, which results in the waste product polychlorinated dibenzodioxins, particularly known as dioxins, which are carcinogenic and contribute to deforestation. Cosmetics and plastics, most of which are petroleum-based and do not decompose readily. The strongest chemicals needed to whiten the already light hemp paper is non-toxic hydrogen peroxide. I write, we are informed that up to 90% of the world's paper manufactured before 1983 was made from cannabis hemp. The earliest drafts of the U.S. Constitution were on hemp paper. The Gutenberg Bible was printed on hemp paper. So now we're talking about use of marijuana and hemp in ancient cultures. Let's just briefly on this one. Today, China has forcefully assumed global leadership in industrial hemp research and production. China's history of cultivation and practical usage within the society is dated back as far as 6,000 years to the Neolithic age, the Stone Age. Traditional uses in China included paper, textiles, and woven into ropes, sails, and other textiles. These days, industrial hemp is grown in more than 20 provinces, with Yunnan taking the lead. Modern uses there have expanded to include a much wider variety of products and industrial applications: health foods, body care, clothing, construction materials, biofuels, composite materials, and much more. In ancient Egypt, which we prefer to call Kemet, to designate the pre-Greek area, before the Nile River lands were renamed with a Greek name Aegyptos. There is evidence in ancient Kemet that both industrial and medicinal uses of cannabis were in use. Furniture made of hemp, as well as paper, textiles, and rope, have been found in use as early as 1353 before the Common Era, during the time of Pharaoh Akhenaten, Amenhotep IV, who was married to Queen Nefertiti, the parents of the famous Pharaoh Tutankhamun. References to hemp were inscribed on the walls of the pyramids as well. When archaeologists sought to answer questions about the construction techniques which created the massive pyramids at the Giza Plateau and throughout the Nile Valley region, they could determine that hemp rope was a crucial factor. Quoting from Marijuana Use in Ancient Egypt by Claire Rankin, quote, "There is also evidence that hemp was used in the construction of the pyramids of ancient Egypt. They made rope out of it to pull blocks of limestone to the building site. And in the quarries, the dried fiber was hammered into cracks in the rocks, then wetted. As it swelled, the rocks split, and these smaller rocks were then transported to the pyramids." Egyptian use of medical marijuana is traceable to over 4,000 years ago. At that time, cannabis was used as a treatment for sore eyes and cataracts. Medical marijuana was reported to have been given to women, quote, "to relieve sadness and bad tempers," unquote. Cannabis prescriptions for healing-induced treatments included treatments for inflammation, hemorrhoid suppositories, glaucoma, and for the relief of excessive menstrual bleeding. According to natural health researcher Claire Rankin, although the use of cannabis dates back thousands of years to ancient China, it was the ancient Egyptians who had first identified cancer as an illness and then treated it with cannabis. And real quickly, one more paragraph. This is really good stuff. Rankin also writes that archaeologists discovered cannabis within the extended entombed remains of many mummified dignitaries. These included Ramses the Great, the third pharaoh of the 19th dynasty, who ruled a powerful empire from 1279 to 1213 before the Common Era. Two Kemetan deities were associated with cannabis, Bast and Seshat. The term Bast is currently used to identify the strong cellulosic fibers, stalks, obtained from the outer bark and hemp, flax, and other fiber stalks. Seshat, the goddess of wisdom, knowledge, and writing, was, quote, depicted in ancient Egypt carvings with a cannabis leaf above her head, unquote. The final point Rankin states is that in the 3rd century AD, the Roman Emperor Aurelian imposed a tax on Egyptian cannabis, thus giving us a measure of the importance within the Nile Valley and Mediterranean industrial economies. Next chapter, I'm going to skip over. Hemp has a long history of industrial use, and it talks about, this is very important. Despite this long and beneficial relationship with the many advantages of hemp for U.S. industrial productivity, there arose a cabal of industrialists whose primary interests were centered around forming industrial monopolies and marketing their petroleum products. These industrial barons had the political clout to force Congress to outlaw all cannabis cultivation in the nation. They feared the competition from the vast potential of cannabis products competing against their strategic interests. I cite this citation from one of my references. The legal history of cannabis in the United States relates to the regulation of cannabis, legal term marijuana, the use for medication, recreational, or industrial purposes in the United States. Increased restrictions and labeling of cannabis as a poison began in many states from 1906 onward, and outright prohibition began in the 1920s. By the mid-1930s, marijuana was regulated as a drug in every state, including 35 states that had adopted the Uniform State Narcotic Drug Act. The first national regulation was the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937. I write, part of the anti-cannabis cabal's motive was a racist and xenophobic stance against Mexican immigrants. In the years following the Mexican Revolution, an influx of immigrant refugees who brought marijuana with them was part of their natural culture. The demonization of this community became a media standard. Quote, to understand how we ended up here, it is important to go back to what was happening in the United States in the early 1900s, just after the Mexican Revolution. At this time, we saw an influx of immigration from Mexico into states like Texas and Louisiana. Not surprisingly, these new Americans brought with them their native language, culture, and customs. One of these customs was the use of cannabis as a medicine and relaxant. Mexican immigrants referred to this plant as marijuana, while Americans were very familiar with cannabis because it was present in almost all tinctures and medicines available at that time. The word marijuana was a foreign term. So when the media began to play on the fears that the public had about these new citizens by falsely spreading claims about the disruptive Mexicans, quote unquote, with their dangerous native behaviors, including marijuana use, the rest of the nation did not know that this, quote, marijuana was a plant they already had within their medicine cabinets. The demonization of the cannabis plant was an extension of the demonization of the Mexican immigrants. To control and keep tabs on these new citizens, El Paso, Texas borrowed a play from San Francisco's playbook, which had outlawed opium decades earlier as part of the racist efforts to oppress Chinese immigrants. The idea was to have an excuse to search, detain, and deport Mexican immigrants. That excuse became marijuana. And I was reading from this article entitled, How Did Marijuana Become Illegal in the First Place? Written by Dr. Malik Burnett and Amanda Raymond, October 2014. That's from drugpolicy.org. So distinguishing between hemp and marijuana is very important. That we must make a distinction. There are numerous varieties or strains of cannabis. Cannabis sativa is the variety commonly used for industrial processing in Canada, Europe, China, and elsewhere around the world. The more psychoactive strain is cannabis indica, which has comparably poor fiber quality and for which the primary uses are recreational, spiritual, and medicinal. The major differences in the two strains is the concentration of THC resin, tetrahydrocannabinol, produced in the flowering buds. With industrial hemp, the psychoactive resin content is but a small fraction, less than 0.03% of that which is produced by the high-inducing varieties. It would be futile to attempt to get high from smoking industrial hemp, as the amount needed to be smoked to create a high would make the smoker quite sick. Industrial and psychoactive cannabis strains differ in several important ways. Number one, genetics. The core agricultural difference between medical cannabis and hemp are largely in their genetic percentage and cultivation environment. That quote from Dan Sutton. THC content. Countries which have allowed industrial hemp production limit the THC content to no more than 0.3%, while medical marijuana produces between 5 to 20% THC on average. Some exotic strains today are even rising to as high as 30% psychoactive component, and that is really outrageously high. Number 3, how they differ: cultivation. Hemp plants grown for industrial use are presented as primarily male, tall, fast-growing, and optimized for higher stalk harvest. Industrial hemp stands in stark contrast to generations of THC-supplying strains. Psychoactive varieties have been hybridized and carefully engineered to achieve a maximum of THC resin by eliminating the males and avoiding widespread seeding of the female flowers. And 2 more points. 1, legal status. In the U.S., while many states are implementing progressive policies for economic expansion, the federal government is still far behind in leadership for industrial application. Outside the U.S., hemp is cultivated in more than 30 countries. In 2011, China, Chile, and the European Union serve as the top hemp producing nations. As of this print publication, Canada and the U.S. follow China in hemp cultivation, and the U.S. Congress is introducing legislation to remove cannabis from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency's Schedule I drug classification, along with heroin and cocaine. And point 5, research and development. Dual courses of research into the spectrum of industrial uses, along with the medical uses, are quite distinct from one another. As well, this restrictive legal status hampers R&D. Industrial uses can range as widely as textile applications to hemp derivatives, serving as a superconductor for futuristic battery applications. Cutting-edge medical research, also very wide-ranging, ranges from pain suppression to CBD's cancer-fighting potential. So I'm going to move forward. I'm going to skip over a large section of the book, just give you some chapter titles. The Hemp Conspiracy, 20th Century Prohibition. We talk about these various laws that have made it very illegal. The demonization of the devil's weed in media propaganda. You remember those old films? They would have occurred in a previous generation where it was just crazy. And let's go forward. 2 other major voices were raised to demonize the idea of marijuana in the public eye were John D. Rockefeller Jr., whose family fortune financed significant campaign activities against marijuana and alcohol, along with Harry J. Anslinger, Commission of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. And so I go forward talking about a triple win for hemp revival. With the current revival of a robust U.S.-based cannabis and hemp production environment, we now have a triple advantage of economic, nutritional, and sustainability advantages. Number 1, the economic impact of modern industrial hemp. Hemp fibers, hurd, and oils have been identified for multiple uses as diverse as fabric, insulation, carpeting, paneling, cordage, pulp, and recycling additive, fiberboard, mortar, paper, absorbent, plastics, paint, sealant, fuel, and more. Hemp seed protein and hemp seed oil as powerful superfoods and medicine. Hemp seeds contain a spectrum of nutrient-dense qualities and are valuable for food, flour, personal care products, essential fatty acids, beer making, animal feed, nut milk, and more. In the broad field of healthcare, medical marijuana has more than 120 cannabinoid compounds are presenting almost miraculous applications toward sustaining optimal health for humans, along with other uses as animal and plant applications. And third, the critical role of cannabis in environmental stabilization and sustainability. Because cannabis strains grow so fast under often stressful environmental conditions, their potential in agriculture is critical. Qualities that sustain hemp production include nitrogen fixing for soils which have been depleted, rapid crop turnaround, little to no need for pesticides and herbicides, a deep taproot which facilitates growth in drought conditions, carbon sequestering through the plant's rapid growth, an ideal crop for small farmers, as well as a wide variety of strains which can yield a spectrum of easily processed value-added products for the local economy. So that's the three great advantages. Chapter 2, the current revival of hemp production, begins with this quote from Doug Fine, who wrote a great book on this. His book is entitled Hemp Bound, and it's a very good book from Doug Fine. He wrote, "For nearly a century, it's been effectively illegal to grow industrial cannabis in the United States, even though Betsy Ross wove the nation's first flag out of hemp fabric. Thomas Jefferson composed the Declaration of Independence on it, and colonists could pay their taxes with it. But as the prohibition on hemp's psychoactive cousin winds down, one of humanity's longest utilized plants is about to be reincorporated into the American economy. Get ready for the newest billion-dollar industry. Get ready for the newest billion-dollar industry." And I'm thinking of a side story. This book, I was able to get this book in the hands of the Hemp Growers Association of Ghana. And they used this book, Industrial Hemp Use as an Opportunity by the Conscious Rasta. They used this book to convince the Ghanaian parliament to change Ghanaian laws to allow the growth of industrial hemp and the export of industrial hemp. And I'm very, very proud of that. And no, it's still going through the legal process. There has been reluctance about it, but hey, they are moving in a direction. So the current revival is on and popping. And here's the U.S. Farm Bill. To date, there are 47 countries worldwide that grow hemp for production and research purposes. On the domestic scene, U.S. 2014 Farm FARRM bill is the first piece of modern federal legislation which authorizes cultivation of cannabis for research and market development. Section 7606 of the bill was entitled The Legitimacy of Industrial Hemp Research, and it included several provisions which allowed openings to industrial hemp development. Let me read that section of the Farm Bill. In general, notwithstanding the Controlled Substances Act, 21 U.S.C. 801 sequence, the Safe and Drug-Free Schools and Committees Act, which is, they're giving the number for that act as well, Chapter 81 of Title I, United States Code, or any other federal law, an institution of higher education, as defined in Section 101, or state development of agriculture may grow or cultivate industrial hemp if, number one, the industrial hemp is grown or cultivated for purposes of research conducted under an agricultural pilot program or other agricultural or academic research, and two, the growing or cultivating of industrial hemp is allowed under the laws of the state in which such institutions of higher education or state department of agriculture is located. And then I list other provisions of those laws. International hemp conferences. I have a list of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different conferences that are taking place around the world. Yearly, more conferences are being hosted as around the world, and across the major hemp producing nations. The spectrum of cannabis enterprises is growing at an exponential rate. I then have a section on hemp industry trade association. See, the book is intended to give you practical solutions to get you involved. I want to say greetings. Eddie McCroy is in the house. Greetings. We could all use a little relaxation. That's beautiful, brother. I appreciate that. And let me just go over here and check and make sure that my Rumble family has not been making much noise in the last 2 days. And I'm sorry to hear that. I hope I haven't burned you out. I have written a lot of books, and I'm doing the best I can to take you through this evolution. We started, and I had a good audience for the first 2, 3 books. But right now, it doesn't seem like people are responding to the program. But nonetheless, I'm going to keep going at it. I'm going to keep going on. I'm like a man with a mission. I'm going forward. So we talk about hemp products in the marketplace today. Page 22. I'm just getting into the book. This article, article published in Forbes in August 2017, was forecasted that hemp-based cannabinoid CBD products alone were projected to top $1 billion annually by 2020. The article, written by Deborah Borchardt, noted that CBD sales are predicted to increase a whopping 55% year-to-year growth over the next 4 years. It opened with the following eye-opening paragraph, quote, hemp-derived cannabidiol is projected to be a $1 billion market in just 3 years, according to a new report by Brightfield Group. The data company estimates that hemp CBD sales have already hit 170 million in 2016, and a 55% compound annual growth rate over the next 5 years will cause the market to crack the $1 billion mark. Later in the article, it describes the growth successes which the CBD industry leaders were currently experiencing. Quote, the top 20 brands average sales of $2.1 million per year per company for 2016. However, some brands are much more successful, with sales of $9 million to $12 million. CW Hemp, made by CW Botanicals, owns 7% of the market, followed by Plus CBD Oil, made by CV Sciences, with 5% of the market. The next 3 names are tied with 2% market share, and they are Elixinol, Hemp Meds by Medical Marijuana Incorporated, and Canazol by Hemp Life Today. An indication of the fragmentation of this market is that 79% of the market is made up of companies with very low sales comparatively. And the politics of hemp today, I'm going to skip over the political stuff because the Trump administration, here's a quote I wrote, the Trump administration takes, quote, the nuclear option, unquote, and wages war against both recreational and medical marijuana. And of course, we know this is a Trump administration that's committed to coal tar. Coal as a source of energy, and also the coal, the hydrocarbon industry basis is also backing the Rockefeller enterprises. Medical marijuana is left in place, but recreational use is being terminated. Existing markets are left alone, but new state-based legislative efforts are opposed. Status quo remains. Nothing changes. The Trump administration openly supports the cannabis industry. It's kind of paradoxical there. But if you read it, you'll see it in context. An emerging psychoactive THC market. Next, I talk about legalized um, marijuana use. If there is any bright spot in the nation's development of hemp products, the area of research into the medicinal benefits of THC and CBD compounds found in cannabis is robust. Across universities and within numerous public and privately funded agencies, scientists are pursuing extensive cutting-edge research. Currently, 8 states in the U.S. allow recreational use of high THC tetrahydrocannabinol marijuana, while 29 states have now legalized medical marijuana. To date, a total of 46 states permit the use of low THC cannabidiol, even though 17 of these states have no current provisions for production of CBD within their borders. The legislation is moving solidly in the direction of decriminalization of recreational use, aided by progressive and liberal political environments. Political opposition to the continuation of the war on drugs is rising from left, right, and centrist ideological camps. The prohibition against, quote, getting high has produced nearly a century of disruption to young lives, families, businesses, and small farmers, as well as drained significant economic resources away from federal, state, and local governments who have had to enforce these antiquated legal restrictions. Political restriction, rationalized by the psychoactive potential of high THC cannabis, has also kept the nation from enjoying the immense production potential of a plant with over 50,000 documented uses. Ooh, it goes on and on and on. Now that pot is legal to smoke, under certain practical restrictions in Hawaii, Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, and Colorado, along with the District of Columbia, there has been a rapid race to market for a spectrum of businesses to fill the immense needs of smokers across the land. Northern California has sustained a robust illicit marijuana growing industry for a half century, and no small number of California growers have been quick to reposition their resources toward taking maximum advantage of the new boom created alongside ganja's legalization. Across the state, there has emerged a new model of California's quote, gold rush. This time the rush to mining is definitely green. Recreational use of cannabis has further empowered not only many growers, but also those who had developed clandestine supply lines during the era of illicit trade. It has never been a big secret that profits from marijuana cultivation and distribution were significant enough to provide a foundation for much of the entertainment industry, media, music, and films. Beyond the media, illicit cash flow supports real estate investment, the legal profession, and local growing area village economies. Marijuana trade policies, profits have even found their way into the pockets of politicians and law enforcement officers. Law officials on the take have long protected the trade from outside scrutiny, which might interfere with the economic bounty that is the hallmark of marijuana trafficking. For decades, the capital of the Netherlands, Amsterdam, had emerged as one of the most robust legal pot-consuming centers of the world. Amsterdam's cafes served coffee and reefer, along with other necessities for a clientele with a significant case of the munchies. It would seem that the city's cafe owners would serve as great role models on how to manage public consumption now that recreational use is becoming more common throughout the world. There should be no doubt that innovation and creativity in how to serve the public demand for recreational marijuana will continue to evolve. Perhaps we may one day see a time when one can order the ganja online and have it delivered by Amazon, FedEx, or UPS within a day or even a few hours. Perhaps even Uber drivers will get in on the new distribution system. At this point, possibilities are less and less limited by political constrictions and more due to the cost effectiveness of getting these high demand product into the hands of ready and capable consumers. Next chapter, chapter 3, agriculture, agribusiness, and cannabis. Here's a quote: hemp, being one of the most sustainable plants, can save 12 trees for every one plant. Canna trivia. Crop switching for a new sustainable economy. This is a very important subject. It is said that hemp is so biodynamic, versatile, and resilient that a famine-stricken village could clothe, house, and feed themselves from one hemp field. This plant can provide high-quality nutrition for human and animal consumption. Its cellulose fibers are usable for housing construction that is resistant to adverse weather conditions. Its value in textiles, worthy of creating high-quality fashions for the family and all levels of textiles industry. The oils from hemp seeds can be used as biofuel as well as a variety of medicinal applications. The plant grows so fast that it can produce more than 4 harvests per year and is an ideal vector for carbon sequestration. Hemp truly is the plant that can save the world. The plant that can save the world. The book has so much in it, and I'm doing the best I can to get through quite a bit of it in just the first hour. What I can do, and I do see you in the house, my sister for Africa One. She says, Hotep, Brother Keaty, and Global Alibi family, blame school holiday and BB duties for my lateness in class. Ubuntu. No problem, no problem. We have you here, and it's always a pleasure to have you with us, beloved. What I can do is this, and I hope that we are motivating you. I do have this link, and I'm going to put this link up for each and every one of you. Where are we at? Behind that at, my dad would say. Here's the link. I'm going to put this up. Hemp, industrial hemp uses and opportunities. I'm going to put this link up here for our YouTube family. I'll put it up here. And here is the link to be able to download the book. Come on, stop fooling around. Where's my mouse? My mouse has disappeared on me. And here is this link. Copy. So, and then I'm going to put up that same link on the Rumble page for you to have access to. Here is the link to get the book, or at least take a look at the book. I have it up on my newly designed Conscious Rasta Press website. And also one more place I'm going to put it is here on my Facebook page. So copy that, paste this up on the Facebook page, put it here, boom. And one more time, I have to put it up on the Facebook page. Bear with me. This is hopefully how I'm going to be getting paid for doing the research. It's tough. It is a struggle, but it is something we're determined, absolutely determined beyond a shadow of a doubt, to be victorious at. So let me do the second hour book as well. And so that way I won't have to come back and fiddle with putting these things up the second time. So that's the first book, Industrial Hemp. The second book I'll be putting up is, and I see my brother Mbwebwe has checked in. Great to have you with us as always, always, always. And put this one up as well. Kwabena is in the house. We appreciate, love you guys. You guys are very productive brothers. I got the maximum respect for both of you. Agribusiness, agriculture, and cannabis. Oh, I didn't finish the link. Sorry about that. I have to minimize this, go here, copy the title, Living Superfood, Mastering the Possibilities of High Quality Life Extension. That's our second hour conversation today. I'm going to put this up as well for my YouTube. And I'm going to put it up as well for my Rumble family. I hate my mouse keeps disappearing. And put this up here for my Rumble family as well. And bear with me, but this stuff keeps popping up on my desktop, and I'm trying to be as efficient as I possibly can. But when these things are popping up all over my desktop, it's a pain in the butt. I do ask people, please do not send me messages while I'm on my show, but they're going to do what they're going to do anyway. Lastly, one more copy, the name of the book, and then we have got it here for you as well. Boom. Okay. We continue. I'm going to come out of this book in about 7 minutes. Crops switching for the new sustainable economy. That's the first subchapter of obtaining proper cultivars for regional propagation. And that's where to get the right seeds for your right region. This book is not just giving you a history and a background, the legal basis, but I'm telling you where the conferences are taking place. I list the conferences, annual conferences. I'm talking about now, where do you get the seeds? And I name the seed companies and I give you their web addresses as well. I talk about hemp processing techniques and challenges. So we're talking about where to get the equipment for harvesting and processing your hemp. Chapter 4, Industrial Uses, where it begins with a quote from Henry Ford. Why use up the forests, which were centuries in the making, and the mines, which require ages to lay down, if we can get the equivalent of forest and mineral products in the annual growth of the hemp fields? And yes, it is true that George Washington Carver went to work for Henry Ford in 1943 and showed the value of using hemp plants. For Africa One is in the house. I love the Industrial Hemp book. Are you familiar with the Hemp Association of Ghana? The Hemp Association of Ghana took this book, same one that you have, that you love, took this book to Parliament in Ghana and was able to get the Ghanaian Parliament to give them the right to grow industrial hemp. The law did pass, but from my understanding, the last time I talked, it is still hung up in coming out of Parliament and implementation. I have a friend who's a member of the Hemp Growers Association of Ghana, and he tells me it's still hung up. He set aside a 500-acre plot to begin growing. He's been asking me to come over and help him to grow that, but he says it's still hung up. So yes, I am familiar with the Hemp Growers Association. I've had meetings and conversations with them, and they did acknowledge that this book was used to get Parliament to vote on something. Just can't keep a good plant down. Another ideal building material is hempcrete. Advantages regarding hempcrete as a building material include hemp building materials are energy efficient, they require minimal maintenance, and have the potential to last for centuries. Point 2, moldable and useful for strength reinforcement. Point 3, does not need expansion joints as the material is flexible. Point 4, fire and pest resistant. Point 5, high insulating properties, high R value. Point 6, 1/6 the weight of concrete hempcrete is thus ideal for monolithic dome buildings and construction. Quote, hemp is a carbon negative and thus sequesters CO2 from the air and emits oxygen. Next point, provides passive absorption and helps with indoor air quality. Hempcrete is non-toxic to work with, requiring only protective goggles, gloves, and masks to manipulate. Point, it has a low environmental impact compared to other building materials and preservatives. Next point, has the potential to radically transform the construction industries for the future of sustainable economies. And last point, used in tandem with bamboo, another eco-friendly building material, hemp is also referred to as an ecological blessing. Very good point. Hemp fiber as insulation in building materials. We talked about that earlier. Hemp oil as a replacement for fossil fuels. These are all different chapters of the book. There are 2 different fossil fuel replacement formulations which are extracted from hemp. They are biodiesel and ethanol. Hemp biofuels have great promise, yet at present, because of growing limitations, their viability is yet to be fully recovered. Hemp biodiesel shows great promise for its hydrocarbon potential, green friendliness, and compatibility with today's diesel engine technologies. Due to limited production and low yields per acre of current crop production, its applications as diesel fuel cannot compete economically with other products made from hemp oil, which have a much greater market return. We're talking about hemp oil as a source of nutrition for our bodies. It's one of the greatest sources of omega-3 fatty acids you could ever consume, hemp oil. But they're talking about for the benefit of hemp diesel, it would be obviously way, way too expensive. One Canadian farmer, Paul Babi from Manitoba, had an experience where he acquired a large stock of hemp seeds from a company going bankrupt. Because of the limited 1-year life of hemp seeds before they turn rancid, Bobby took about 5,300 gallons, 20,000 liters of hemp oil and turned it into biofuel. As Biodiesel magazine reported, not only did the biodiesel have wonderful properties, better cloud point and cetane value than biodiesel made from canola or soy oil, its distinctive green color was a great marketing tool, unquote. While this incident turned out well for Bobby, the current price of $1,000 Canadian for a 45-gallon barrel of the precious oil makes it totally out of league to compete with fossil fuels, which cost about $40 US per barrel. As future stocks of hemp seeds and its precious oil increase over the decades to compete against other fuels, it should follow that biodiesel fuel will become a viable option for fueling transportation, energy production, and other fuel needs. What is known is that biodiesel is 11% oxygen by weight and contains no sulfur. The use of biodiesel can extend the life of diesel engines because it is more lubricating than petroleum diesel fuel, while fuel consumption, auto ignition, and power output and engine torque are relatively unaffected by biodiesel. And it goes on and on, going forward, using hemp fibers in automobile manufacturing. This is what Henry Ford was able to do. Already, hemp-derived fiberglass is making its way onto the auto body parts manufacturing again. Henry Ford developed a process for turning hemp into durable body parts by the middle of the 20th century. The story of how the manufacturing industry soured on the use of industrial cannabis during that era is a significant part of why this current revival of hemp industries is so crucial. When one considers that hemp can be used to develop durable solids, plastics, fuel, and other hemp oil derivatives, durable fabrics, composites, carpets, and another critical component of modern and other critical components of modern automobiles. In a near future, where more emerging nations enter the arena of automobile parts manufacturing and assembly, the idea that their efforts will be aided by the tremendous potential of inexpensive hemp building materials is something about which one can get excited. So next, just real quickly, hemp paper making, we talk about hemp fabrics. I have a chapter on that one as well. Hemp fiberglass, cutting edge research, enzymes and microbes. And this cutting edge research is very important. The enzymes and microbes. We're talking about biomolecular engineering using hemp. This is hemp. I do see another comment from 4 Africa 1. If and when Ghana relinquishes its colonial mentality, we will see the naysayers kicking themselves, the economy and the health of the nation improve. Yeah, and the thing about it is that the reality, we have to face the fact that the politicians in the ECOWAS bloc, and I saw a picture the other day that kind of reinforced this idea, are very susceptible to being caught, coached, manipulated, and or stiff-armed by Western technocrats. This is what my brand new book talks about. And you don't know, I think you have a copy coming, but the brand new book, I just got my first copies of my brand new book just yesterday. They arrived. Biocolonialism, the technocratic war on African fertility and food. And when we talk about this technocratic war, it does include stiff-arming the leaders, so-called leaders, of poor African nations. I love the book. This book is so exciting. Please do go to the Conscious Rasta Press and look for the book. You'll see it there, right? I just put it up on the front page. Let me give you the link to that right now. So you want to have it. Look for the new books. New books at http. I don't need all that. Just go to www.consciousrastapress.com. You're going to love it, love it, love it. All copy and paste. Paste it over here for Brother Eddie is in the YouTube family as well today. And I do encourage you, please do consider adding me into your library. You won't regret it. This new book I have in my hand, Biocolonialism, is really, really good. I was up late last night, or late for me, reading from the new book. And it is all of that. I can guarantee you, you're going to get good satisfaction from it, but not if you won't read it. Not if you're boycotting me. So go to Conscious Rasta Press and look for, I have 2 brand new books, and I'll let you in on the secret for Africa One. Don't you tell nobody. I'm going to be adding another book this weekend. I'm on a roll. And we are going to do the best we can to give you, our listening audience, what you need. The new book is dealing strictly with an advanced health regime, and it is almost all pictures and photographs. So I'm going to be reaching people who don't like to read. I think it's going to be a wonderful book. I am excited about it. I was up early today working on it. Going back, industrial hemp uses and opportunities, hemp-based superpower supercapacitor batteries. I'm going to end with this because this is really exciting stuff. One of the most exciting breakthroughs in emerging technologies is the use of natural materials toward future renewable energy technologies. Currently, Most high-end battery applications used in electric vehicles, home storage, power grid backup systems, and other future-oriented electric applications use lithium-ion batteries. Recently, another type of carbon-based battery system called supercaps has pushed to the forefront of energy storage systems technologies and found upon a revolutionary new synthetic material, graphene. Just real quickly, the future of technology could hinge on a single material. The industry is buzzing over the potential of graphene, which is the strongest, slimmest, and most valuable, malleable material in known existence. Graphene, which is a form of carbon, could change the way our devices look, feel, perform, and even interact with our bodies. And here's how this sensational substance will influence the world of tech. Graphene will likely influence not just how our devices look, but how long they last. Northwestern University's researchers built a battery made of graphene and silicon, which supposedly lasted over a week on a single charge and only took 15 minutes to juice up. If graphene goes mainstream, you could possibly leave your smartphone charger home when traveling. Aside from its physical benefits, graphene is also one of the cheapest materials around. Samsung Electronics claims it has developed, quote, a breakthrough synthesis method, unquote, in which a large proportion of graphene is turned into a single crystal on a semiconductor, which allows for rapid production of the substance. Now, I'm writing. Even more breaking news allows us to see how hemp-based materials will extend this advantage from the introduction of graphene technologies can be extended with significantly improved cost advantages. Listen to this. Listen. I write. No, I'm quoting someone else. Clarkson University's GE chair in oil and gas systems, David Martin, and CEO of Intermat Technologies, David Hessler, have secured funding in the amount of $225,000 through the National Science Foundation to continue their partnership on commercializing energy storage technologies invented by Martin. Midland. As a result of the Small Business Technology Transfer Award, Midland's lab will receive $127,000. And it goes on, but listen to this. You're going to be excited. Critical note. Now, what they are developing is Midland has developed hemp-based carbon battery materials that are inexpensive and charge much faster. So that's what these two gentlemen have received the grants, are working on. Critical to note is that hemp-derived carbon materials pose a substantial advantage to this emerging technology storage, to this emerging energy storage technologies market. Compared to the expense of developing graphene supercaps, hemp supercaps can be produced for a fraction of the cost, yielding an investment development advantage of nearly 363,000 to 1 when using hemp over graphene. 363,000 to 1. Quote, a supercapacitor is a common tool for storing electrical energy. Graphene, a one-atom thick version of common graphite and carbon nanomaterial, is a supercapacitor with conductivity achieving a far greater energy density. However, it is expensive to produce at $2,000 a gram. The cost to manufacture hemp's supercapacitor version is $5,000 per ton, compared to $2,000 per gram. You're talking $5,000 per ton. How many grams are in a ton? Yeah, it's that. Hemp allows a possibility for these technological advancements using hemp-based to be realized. High-performance hemp-based supercapacitors will transform the way mankind relates to energy. According to Titan Hemp, a company centered around hemp products. And you need to verify this for yourself. I am not making this up. But you need the book because the book has the tight references. You need to find the exact reference. I'll give you the reference to the last excerpt about the super capacity and the greater price difference. The future of hemp engineering, hempcrete super capacitors, biofuel, and more. Written by Maverick Baker, August 2018. Interesting engineering. So do look it up. The Future of Hemp Engineering by Matt Baker. Chapter 5, gotten almost halfway through the book. Chapter 5, medicinal uses of cannabis compounds. Chapter 6, and in the medicinal uses, I put them all in a numbered list. And the numbered list, the first 5 are AIDS treatment relief, 2, alcoholic therapy, 3, Alzheimer's disease, 4, anorexia and cachexia, 5, anxiety relief, 6, appetite stimulant, 7, arthritis symptom relief, 8, asthma, number 9, autoimmune diseases and inflammation, and that's just the A's. There are listed in here as many as, list keeps going on and on, 34, is there more? Yeah, 34 different ones that I listed, including stroke recovery, stress relief, weight loss, and metabolism regulation. Going forward to the next chapter. The great promise of cannabis in cancer research. That's very important. Hemp as a superfood. Chapter 6. Herb is the healing of a nation. Alcohol is the destruction. That quote from Bob Marley. Benefits of hemp seed oil and protein for oil. This is a wonderful book. The chapter 7, current recreational status, goes on. Chapter 8, combating climate change. This is the plant that can save the planet. And the next chapter 9, cannabis in the emerging global marketplace. I'm going to wrap it up for that book. I'm going to give you a look at the cover of the brand new book. I just got it in hand. I'm shipping the first copies go out today. And the next book I have in hand is one of my favorites, Living Superfood Longevity, which states, master the possibilities of high quality life extension. Now there were, as I was dreaming last night, I woke up and I said, what am I going to talk about in this book? And it talks about, there were about 4 or 5 different parts of this book I wanted to emphasize for today. Chapter 1, introducing the book, evolution and devolution, or de-evolution. This is very important. The first 2 paragraphs, this is very important. Something truly historic and amazing is happening right before our eyes, actually all of our senses. Humanity is evolving. This transformation is taking place at an ever more rapid rate. We're getting taller, our brains larger, less susceptible to infectious diseases, living longer lives, and less threatened by xenophobia, fear of others not like us, and the forces of nature. The pace at which this evolution is taking place has picked up dramatically over the slower pace of evolution that has affected Homo erectus or Homo sapiens over the past 3 million years. Yet, this evolution is not happening consistently across the spectrum of humanity. For some, the outcome of this rapid transformation of our physical and mental well-being is going in a different direction. There are far too many of us who are experiencing what might be considered devolution, de-evolution, with human brains atrophying due to extensive consumption of mass media, especially passive television viewing, and their bodies suffering from excessive weight and obesity, from the sedentary lifestyle, cardiovascular diseases, cancerous tumors, declining reproductive capacity, along with a spectrum of immune and autoimmune disorders. What is happening to the human species at this stage of our existence is increasingly determined by largely controllable environmental factors. I then talk about my own entry into this, how I became obsessed with this, and where I'm stating we're watching the species split. You have the evolutionaries are still continuing to expand their capacity and adaptability. And then you have the de-evolutionaries, and the pace at which we see the species de-evolving is very dramatic. So there are certain parts of this book. I do begin with chapter 1, longevity and healthy lifespan. Just quickly, centenarians on the rise. Many of us can vividly recall the unfortunate events accompanying the death of loved ones, parents, grandparents, siblings, and even younger family and community members. Yet most of us should also recall with exuberance the case of loved ones who lived to wonderful ripe ages. We speak glowingly of qualities that made them remarkable in their senior years. We're proud to claim them, to claim a likely genetic inheritance from those we are related to, allowing us to enjoy robust and productive health during the golden years. How proud we are to claim that inheritance from someone who became a centenarian or lived well into their 90s, as healthy, active, sharp of mind, and graceful in their senior glory. These seniors inspire us with their healthy lives and accumulated wisdom. For myself, and I am sure many of you agree, these wise and esteemed elders are true royalty within our families. We celebrate them at family reunions and reserve prime space for them at family and community gatherings. We want to hug them with extra warmth, kiss their cheeks, and assure them that they are treasured within our society. Growing older with grace, wisdom, health, and being surrounded by one's loved ones is among the greatest blessings of a well-lived life. In our right mind, we would wish this upon all our parents, grandparents, siblings, and community members. We would also expect this of ourselves, as that which we have has become a highly valued treasure for all who would benefit from you and me as their senior role models. Longevity is truly a blessing, and it is a blessing that we should lavishly wish upon ourselves, just as we would lovingly wish it upon others. I'm going to skip forward. The next chapter, longevity is a great cause for celebration. Born March 12, in 1909 in South Carolina, Virginia McLaurin, a resident of Washington, D.C., had the chance to become a celebrated sensation on the event of her 107th birthday, when she shared a meeting and videotaped dance at the White House with President Obama and the First Lady Michelle. Arranged as part of Black History Month commemorations, the petite Ms. McLaurin expressed such exuberance and joy for the moment that the president cautioned her to slow down. She claimed the cause for her joy. And I tell you, she said, I tell you, I am so happy. A black president, a black wife, and I'm here to celebrate Black history. That's what I'm here for. Think about it. She lived these extra years to celebrate this momentum occasion. The video went viral, and the nation had a chance to share her happy dance. So many times, when our most senior citizens perform such enduring feats of healthy longevity, it brings great joy to our hearts. Another similarly impressive feat of longevity, former President George H.W. Bush celebrated his 90th birthday in 2014 by skydiving. President Bush, who had distinguished himself as a World War II fighter pilot, was no stranger to skydiving. Yet who among us would imagine or predict that such an older person, let alone a former president, would take on such a feat at such an advanced age? He shared the joy of his experience by sending the message. It's a wonderful day in Maine. In fact, nice enough for a parachute jump. So then I go on to talk about Asian populations produce the highest numbers of centenarians, those living to age 100 and beyond. And then I talk about various regions. China, we talk about the people of, what's it called? Okinawa. Chapter 2, longevity in the animal world. Now, this becomes very important. You have to understand what I'm saying here. Longevity in the animal world. And we're talking about longevity. Well, I'll just read what I wrote. A species, talking about the longest living animal species. A species of deep sea clam was named Ming in reference to the Chinese dynasty during which this long-lived clam was born. It died at its death in 2006. Ming was reported to have lived for 507 years and would have likely lived longer if it had not been accidentally killed by scientists, quote, when they dredged it up off the coast of Iceland and froze it, along with many others, for transport back to the lab for climate change research. A koi goldfish named Hanoko died in 1977 and was believed to be 226 years of age. The species, whose age can be determined by counting its scales, which are said to be linked to age like tree rings, normally live to be about 47 years old. Giant tortoises live in various parts of the world, including the Galapagos Islands, mainland Southeast Asia, Southern Asia, Australia, Indonesia, Madagascar, and North and South America. The species is known for longevity, and there are several claims of specific tortoises whose lifespans range as high as 188 years. That's Tuul Malia of Tonga. And 150 to 250 years, Adwaita in India. And 176 years, Harriet, a Galapagos tortoise that died in 2006 at the Australian Zoo. Another author, Jennifer Holland, also reported on immortal jellies, which are a species of jellyfish discovered in the Mediterranean region, of which it is said truly never dies, but recycles itself. The species can transmute from adult state to an immature polyp stage over and over again. Uncovering the secrets of this process may one day give humans a key to discovering a means of mortality. So other reports of long-living creatures, including ocean quahog, sea clam, 400 years, bowhead whale, 211 years, rough-eye rockfish, 205 years, red sea urchin, 200 years, Galapagos tortoise, 177 years, shockraker rockfish, 157 years, lake sturgeon, 152 years, Aldabra giant tortoise, 152, rough orangey, and then warty arrayo. I'm going to skip forward. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2 deals now with why we age. What's the problem? Metabolic syndrome. Compounded diseases, and longevity. So we're talking about metabolic syndrome. As a nutritional consultant, I am in regular discussions with people regarding intimate details of their health. The conversation often begins with one central disorder that has captured the client's attention, for which an effective natural remedy is sought. As I sketch a profile of that person's health status, I'm realizing more and more that while there may be one particular area of focus, the problem entails multiple underlying conditions that have compounded. The client chooses, leading the client closer to the point of crisis. A typical case might involve high blood pressure, high blood sugar, hyperglycemia, which might have been labeled as diabetes or pre-diabetes. Yet, as the inquiry proceeds, and I'm informed that this person is also on high blood pressure medicine, hypertension, the medication is not alleviating the condition but merely suppressing symptoms. Common in such a case is also overweight or obesity, hyperadiposity, which itself can be commonly accompanied by clogged arteries, atherosclerosis, and abdominal obesity, visceral adiposity. I am describing that unfortunately this generation is becoming more common, suffering higher rates of non-communicable diseases that have previously impacted public health. A compounding of such disorders is referred to as a metabolic syndrome, or sometimes referred to as Syndrome X. The reliable online medical reference WebMD has the following to share about the increasing rate of this diagnosis. Listen, although it was only identified less than 20 years ago, metabolic syndrome is as widespread as pimples and the common cold. According to the American Heart Association, 47 million Americans have it. That's almost a staggering 1 out of every 6 people. The syndrome runs in families and is more common among African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, and Native Americans. The risk of developing metabolic syndrome increases as you age. While metabolic syndrome is not necessarily considered a disease, but actually represents a disorder, this disease collection appears more commonly within the increasingly troubling American public health status. According to most health pronouncements, the diseases which comprise metabolic syndrome include the following: 1. High blood sugar. 2. High blood pressure. 3. Excessive LDL cholesterol. 4. A high triglyceride level. 5. Abdominal fat. And obesity. As the syndrome's name implies, these are all common conditions. These are all conditions that are metabolism disorders. From my perspective, this definition should also be expanded to other disorders which are part of metabolism, including progressive kidney disease, nephropathy, and an improper balance within the microbial flora of the intestinal tract. These healthy bacteria are a critical component of our digestive process. And let me just add this. I have continued to study this, and I have added 2 more disorders to my list of metabolic syndrome disorders. The 2 are cancer, which is a disease of metabolism. It has to do with oxygen, your metabolism of oxygen. And the last one I added was non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So that brings our list of metabolic disorders now to 10. According to most diagnostic and treatment protocols, a person is diagnosed with metabolic syndrome when they display symptoms of at least 3 of several conditions. Metabolic risk factors. 5 of the conditions described below are most often listed as risk factors for diagnosing metabolic disease. My research has expanded this common listing of metabolic disorders to include progressive kidney disease and disruptions of the gut bacteria, cancer, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it talked about 1, a bulging waistline, abdominal obesity, visceral fat or visceral adiposity, or having an apple shape. Excessive fat within the stomach area is greater risk for heart disease than excessive fat in other body areas, such as the hips or peripheral limbs. A high triglyceride level, or you're on medication to lower your triglycerides, your type of fat found in the blood. A low HDL cholesterol level, or you're on medication to treat your low HDL. The good cholesterol, as opposed to the high level of low density lipoprotein. High blood pressure, or you're on medication to treat high blood pressure. High fasting blood sugar, or you're on medication to treat high blood sugar, which is diabetes or prediabetes. Nephropathy, kidney disease. This condition within the kidneys is damage within the kidneys or damage to the kidneys can be caused by diabetes, adverse reactions to drug therapies, i.e., AIDS and nephropathy, age-related nephropathy. AIDS drugs can and have been shown to ruin many people's kidney function. Plasma toxicity, clogged capillaries, or any matter of inflammatory disorder, overweight, obesity, disruption of the gut microbiome, Clostridium difficile. So, and then various cancers. So I'm going to skip forward. Chapter 4, oxidative stress accelerates all of the above. When we come to conclude what is the problem, the biggest problem is oxidative stress and the inflammation it causes. Anything you do that causes your body to suffer chronic inflammation, it's going to steal your longevity from you. So I go a lot into oxidative stress. We talk about redox status and aging link in neurodegenerative diseases, reactive oxygen species, oxidative stress. All of these are explained in detail. Free radicals, antioxidants, redox reactions, superoxide dismutase 2, SOD2, mitochondrial function, inflammation. All of these are related in antioxidant foods. Later in the book, we will have much more to say about the superfoods to charge the immune system, a diet loaded with natural antioxidants. The list here will thus be kept short if it needs to be, because the optimal antioxidant-rich diet is as simple as eating a broad array of fresh fruits and vegetables in the least processed state possible, particularly organic and raw. Top performers in this category include dark grapes, blueberries, goji berries, dark chocolate without excess refined sugar and milk proteins, pecans, artichokes, kidney beans have to be soaked. Don't eat them raw. And cranberries, blackberries, cilantro, and various citrus fruits. Again, I have much longer lists later in the book. So going forward, a review of the Blue Zones book review by Dan Buettner. This is very good. I hope you have all read Dan Buettner's excellent book, The Blue Zones: Learn the Lessons of Living Longer from the People Who Have Lived the Longest. Key Principles for Longevity. Most of my followers know my years of ongoing daily internet radio broadcasts on LIB Radio. For most of this long journey, we have also set aside Monday's broadcast for intense book study sessions. One of the many books which have excited our audience was The Blue Zones: Lessons for Living Longer from the People Who Have Lived the Longest by Dan Buettner. Skipping over that book study series, Buettner's book began as a 2005 cover story article for National Geographic magazine entitled Secrets of Living Longer, which qualified as a finalist for the year's National Magazine Award. Examining 4 populations worldwide known for longevity and disease avoidance in more advanced senior age people, the Blue Zones referred to longevity-associated populations clusters in Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Costa Rica, and Loma Linda, California. This research reflects a collection of lifestyle patterns common to those regions whose people have become associated with high-quality life extension. In addition, the book features numerous inspiring examples of individual lives and personal habits of memorable characters with which the author has spent significant personal time. My work as an author depends on meta-analysis of research from others whose efforts are institutionally supported and thus be able to more comprehensive and nuanced Therefore, I appreciate the detailed personal profiles that Butner and his colleagues have assembled. Yet, because of my extensive experience of hands-on engagement with a spectrum of biological sciences over the decades, I can share additional insights and points of analysis of analytical focus that I trust you can appreciate. Sometimes it is our comprehensive understanding of the best work of other researchers that allow us to enjoy our capacity for learning. We also can contribute to the great body of knowledge that comprises a generation's collective contribution to advance societal wisdom. 9 central themes that Butner researchers in the Blue Zones center upon: number 1, natural movement, exercise in daily activities. Number 2, caloric restriction, hara hachi bui in Japanese, hara hachi bu in Japanese. Number 3, a dietary core centered around plant-based foods. Number 4, moderation in alcohol consumption. Number 5, a purpose-driven life. Number 6, stress-reducing habitual patterns. Number 7, spiritual faith expressed daily. Number 8, extended family support. Number 9, membership in and active participation with the right tribe. Those are the 9 principles that Daniel Butner espouses in his book. As the author stated in introducing his book and his research, quote, "A long, healthy life is no accident." Let me repeat, a long, healthy life is no accident. The secrets to longevity are widely debated and sometimes misunderstood. Yet remarkable groups of people manage to achieve it naturally, enjoying longer lifespans while remaining active and vital well into their 80s, 90s, and hundreds. These people can be found in the world's blue zones, extraordinarily long-lived communities where common elements of lifestyle, diet, and outlook have led to an amazing quantity and quality of life. And this is all. I hope you find this exciting. This book, this orange book, is one of my best-selling books over the years. And you're going to see why. I'm just going to come out of there. For those of you familiar with Dan Butner's book, you'll understand why I included an extensive review in my book from his book. We talk about the various lessons he teaches. Lesson 5, purpose now. Lesson 7, belonging. And it's from lesson 5, purpose now. A sense of purpose may come from something as simple as seeing that children or grandchildren grow up well. Purpose can come from a job or a hobby, especially if you immerse yourself immediately, completely in it. And lesson 7, belong. Healthy centenarians everywhere have faith. The Sardinians and Nicoyans are mostly Catholics. Okinawans have a blended religion that stresses ancestor worship. Loma Linda centenarians are Seventh-day Adventists. All belong to strong religious communities. The simple act of worship is one of those subtle, powerful habits that seems to improve your chances of having more good years. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, or Hindu. Good points he makes. I'm going to skip forward because there are significant parts of this book I really did want to talk about. Number 6, chapter 6, supercharging your immune systems for future superbugs. I did have this chapter reprinted in a book that Queen Afua put together, Healing. What's the name of the book? I have it around here somewhere. Where is it? It was a really excellent book too, and I can't remember the name of it. Doggone it! But it was a very good book. Compiled a bunch of writers all working together, and I was indeed very honored, very proud to have been invited to be a part of it as well. From Queen Afua, she's just a remarkable human being. The 7 principles of optimal health revisited. Now that you've built up some momentum with these studies, we can increase the scientific engagement and stretch our comprehension boundaries a little more. In other words, the learning curve will get stronger as we continue this research. Key concepts for this chapter's focus include natural immunity, the critical role of oxygen in the evolution of human biology, more on reactive oxygen species and redox processes, full spectrum nutrition, biosystems compatibility, epigenetics, and the application of knowledge-based systems for sustainability. We find ourselves in a most promising yet unquestionably contradictory moment in history. Today's accumulated wisdom stems from the most ancient of civilizations and is a legacy for all of which of us should be inspired and tremendously grateful. The origin of ancient Egyptian scientific wisdom can be traced to the prehistoric birth of Nile Valley civilizations. Bridging that legacy to today's frontier of data-driven science, we can bear witness to a vast accumulation of knowledge that should sustain health, societal progress, and sustain prosperity. This progression of wisdom should also gain optimism about the future. Yet, the split between those who are evolving while others are devolving is a paradox to which we must apply our scientific insights. And this is a long chapter, and I'm getting real deep, just kind of set you up in the mindset that this is not going to be just a simple superficial study. We're going deep. And then on page 38, I write about more about to gain our best advantage within this gradual process of human evolution. We can integrate as much as possible a spectrum of naturally selected strategies for our integration into a natural biological order. The following 7 principles of optimal health can guide supercharging our natural immune systems to avoid the so-called superbugs of the future. And I first begin, we are the product of 500 million years of oxygen-dependent cellular evolution. Mastering a spectrum of breath management techniques will bring great advantage to immune system functionality, stress management, and epigenetic direction over our biological system. And just the breath management is very important. Has anybody out there tried box breathing? I do box breathing every day. And actually, just before going to bed, I have a 20 minutes of exercises that I do. I'm listening to Zulu music and beautiful music, meditation music as I'm doing this. The first of my 5 different exercises I do in 20 minutes, I'll put my feet up against the wall, elevate my legs, put the feet up against the wall, and then I box breathe. In for 5, count, using my heart rhythm as a count. Breathe in for 5, hold it for 5, then I exhale for 10, and then the second time I do it, I exhale for 10, and then I hold it for 1 more breath. And I do this 10 times. On the 10th time, or actually 11 times, and on the 11th time, at the bottom, I have exhaled completely, and then I hold that position with my lungs completely empty for 10 seconds or 10 counts of my heartbeat. That's not easy to do, except for by increasing it 1 every breath cycle. I'm able to do it, and it feels so absolutely wonderful. The position I'm in drains the lymph from my bottom legs, etc. And so I wake up bright, supercharged, and ready to go every day. And I'm hyper saturated with oxygen. The existence of life on this planet is directly related to the presence of water and its fundamental correspondence to life. Optimized hydration is almost absolutely critical to the maintenance of all health processes. Maintaining the highest integrity of the water we consume is paramount to healthy longevity. Point. Optimized nutrition requires constant access to the spectrum of critical nutrients in the most digestible forms. This not only requires that we access vitamins, minerals, the full range of amino acids, essential fatty acids, fiber, complex carbohydrates, proteins, and enzyme-laden raw foods, but that proper preparation of our food demands that we do not harm the integrity of these nutrients through improper preparation techniques. Point. Our immune systems are rejuvenated through periodic rest, and as such, we must not deprive our body of its daily requirement for proper sleep. Point 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Point 5. Exercise is fundamental for balance within a whole body oxygen-dependent matrix, ensuring that circulatory, musculatory, and skeletal rhythms systems function optimally. All processes that contribute enhanced immunity are reinforced with the right types of regular exercise, cardiovascular, strength training, as well as stretching and balance exercises. Point 6. Point 5. Point 6. An accumulation of a spectrum of toxic stressors always accompanies the rise of inflammatory processes within the body. Therefore, toxin avoidance, detoxification, and the efficiency of waste elimination are all keys to strong immune functioning. And the last point, 7, our best comprehension of the complex yet subtle interaction between the mind, body, spirit matrix requires that we pay close attention to both psychological and spiritual processes that serve our wholeness. While the community held understanding that you are what you eat has great merit, still we are much more than what we eat and drink. We are how we think, interact, conceptualize, actualize, how we laugh, cry, empathize, and create within the larger circle of Earth species. We are faith-bound spirits within a diversity of materials, worlds. Our active and co-creative engagement with nature is key to manifesting our greatest health potential. So that is an explanation of the 7 principles of optimal health as I shared it in the book with Queen Afua and a number of other writers. Then chapter 7, Why We Age, another book review, a review of Gary Null's Power Aging. And I review his book, but I begin with this quote from Dr. Gary Null, PhD. What causes aging? The easy answer to that question is the uncontrollable passage of time. But aging is also the result of a number of biological and pathological processes that vary from person to person and are controllable to some degree with existing therapies. So understanding the biological processes involved can really pay off. From Dr. Gary Null. And we did his book on our Monday broadcast on LB Radio, which I've not been doing that Monday broadcast for some time. I remember the series. I loved it doing, but with so much other stuff now we're on. But Gary Null's Power Aging, the revolutionary program to control the symptoms of aging naturally. Dr. Gary Null, PhD, authored more than 50 books by the time of publication of Power Aging, and is considered by myself and many others as the premier researcher in the nation on matters of natural living, drug-free means of overcoming chronic disease, critiquing peer-reviewed scientific journal health research, as well as presenting critical insights into the value of vitamins and nutrient supplements for our strategy to stay disease-free. So I'm going to kind of skip over that, just give you the sections that we look at from Gary Null. We talk about what telomeres tell us, free radicals, oxidative stress, hormone imbalances. All of these are sections of which we examine. And then I comment, and then chronic inflammation. I'll just read that. Another factor that you could call both causative of aging and associated with it is chronic inflammation. We all know that aging people suffer an epidemic of outward inflammatory diseases such as arthritis. But chronic inflammation also does interior damage to brain cells, arterial walls, heart valves, and other structures in the body. Heart attack, stroke, heart valve failure, and Alzheimer's disease have been linked to the chronic inflammatory cascade that so often afflicts aging people. So within this section on the association between chronic inflammation and age-related disorders and disease, Dr. Knoll further points out links to a spectrum of inflammation markers and specific ailments. He goes among the various biological processes which reflect this connection. He goes deeper into inflammation markers such as fibrinogen, C-reactive protein, pro-inflammatory cytokines, and homocysteine. Throughout this book, we will have much more to say about these specific inflammation-associated blood markers. So that's just a brief review. I do a review next chapter 8, a review of Andrew Weill's book, Healthy Aging. Very important. I'm going to give you a quote from Andrew Weil. Begins this chapter with the following paragraph. There are many theories as to why we age. Some focus on the accumulation of errors on the genetic code, that's cell senescence. Others invoke loss of telomeres. You don't need to know the details of all of these theories, but I thought it would be interesting to review 2 of them to give you a sense of the ways researchers are thinking. The first has to do with a chemical process called caramelization, and the second concerns oxidative stress. Both have practical import. The former because it suggests that dietary changes may reduce the risk of age-related diseases. The latter because it raises questions about whether we should take antioxidant vitamins and minerals in order to preserve a youthful health and function as long as possible. Both theories suggest that senescence and longevity are separable. Senescence is, again, slow degrading of our cells, our genetics, and their ability to reproduce themselves. It says that senescence and longevity are separable, that age-related disease is not a necessary consequence of aging. Good work, Dr. Weil. Good work. He, the author, further cites groundbreaking research of Dr. Anthony Surami, a medical researcher and inventor and member of the National Academy of Sciences, and his advancement of a, quote, glycation theory of aging. Listen, listen, listen. Because you love macaroni and cheese, you need to listen even more. Will writes, it postulates that reactions between proteins and sugars in the body eventually form a class of compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGES, AGES for short. AGES can damage other proteins as well as DNA and RNA. They do so by fostering abnormal bonds between adjacent protein strands, a change called cross-linking. Cross-linked proteins are deformed, less elastic, less flexible, and less able to perform their normal functions. And that also relates to these cross-linked lignins that are the heart of Alzheimer's disease. He writes further, oh, this is real good. I'm going to read, I wrote this between his comments. We cannot overlook the critical importance of what is being revealed here. Many of the favorite foods within the standard American diet, SAD, are based upon combining proteins and sugars at increasingly higher temperatures. These include bread, toast, French fries, mac and cheese, pastries, fried and baked goods, barbecue, and many more commonly eaten foods. Will continues this warning within the same paragraph. He writes, it is cross-linking that makes the proteins in the lens of the eye turn opaque to form a cataract. Cross-linked proteins account for the wrinkling and sagging of old skin. Cross-linked proteins in blood vessels are the basis of atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries. Cross-linked proteins in the brain may contribute to the development of neurodegenerative diseases like ALS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. He points out numerous other ways that these agents and advanced glycation end products and cross-linked proteins put our health in danger. I've got to move forward, because there's a part of this book that I am really proud of. Chapter 10, I am very proud of Chapter 10. It's entitled Women's Hormonal Health and Balancing Strategies. I'm not going to read it right now, but you should have read this by now. All women who have gone through that stage of life that's called menopause should get this chapter and read the chapter. You've got to read it so you can stay away from drugs that are so dangerous. And we're talking about hormone replacement theory. The drugs are so dangerous that, let me tell you what the manufacturer of one of the drugs said about their own drug. I'm talking about HRT. And here's what the manufacturer of Premarin, one of the popular HRT drugs, which is made from pregnant mare urine, says about their own product. To their list of precautions, the drug manufacturer's website included the following. Now, wait, I got to read this paragraph. Noted side effects from Premarin usage in women include, quote, stomach upset, nausea, vomiting, bloating, breast tenderness, headache, or weight changes, and patients are cautioned to be on the lookout for other serious side effects, including mood, mental health changes such as depression, memory loss, breast lumps, unusual vaginal bleeding. To this list of precautions, the drug manufacturers includes the following alarming warnings. Point: using estrogen alone may increase your chance of getting cancer of the uterus womb. Report any unusual vaginal bleeding right away while you're using Premarin. Vaginal bleeding after menopause may be a warning sign of cancer of the uterus. Point 2. Do not use estrogens with or without progestins to prevent heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, or dementia. Decline in brain function. Quote, do not use with or without progestins. That's more than confusing. That's downright frightening. Point 3, using estrogen alone, without, may increase your chances of getting strokes or blood clots. Using estrogen with progestins may increase your chances of getting heart attacks, strokes, breast cancer, or blood clots. Point, using estrogen with or without progestins may increase your chance of getting dementia, based on a study of women 65 years or older. You and your healthcare provider should talk regularly about you still seek treatment. The conversation that I suggest you have is you tell them, get that mess away from me. Then on page 68, I go through a list of herbs in an article entitled 10 Best Herbs for Female Hormone Balance. Dr. Edward Group lists several herbs used worldwide for alleviating hormone decline symptoms attributed to maturation and menopause, including the herbs from Ayurveda and localized solutions used in South America, China, the Caribbean, Europe, and South Asia. These include 1. Ashwagandha, 2. Avena sativa, 3. Catawaba bark, 4. Epimedium, aka horny goatweed, 5. Maca root, 6. Murera Poama. 7, Shi Lajit. Number 8, Suma. Number 9, Tonkat Ali. And number 10, Tribulus terrestris. And I recommend for men as well, these are recommended herbs because they help to balance this all out. Many of us are familiar with maca root, and I do a breakdown of Tongat Ali, but I don't have time for all of that today. I'm sorry. I have to go through and let's finish our study. Next, I talk about Chapter 11, Superfood and Full Spectrum Hypernutrition. Chapter 12 is entitled Reviewing Fred Wolf's book, The Quantum Body. That's an excellent book, The Quantum Body. From Fred Alan Wolf, this quote I began the chapter with: I speculate that healing is a quantum physical process that can be understood as a phase harmony of quantum waves. By being with each other, we advance this harmony, just as two magnets provide more strength than each magnet separately. To be healed, separate parts of the body also must begin to respond to each other in phase harmony. Accordingly, illness is defined as vibrations of quantum waves out of harmony with each other. Using quantum physics as a basis, diseases, in addition, are seen as a game of probability modified by our own deepest thoughts and wishes. We become ill, we feel depressed. But which came first, the illness or the depression? In quantum physics, the answer is not so simple. For the depression and the illness, in a certain sense, are the same thing. The book gets deep. That's Fred Wolf's The Quantum Body. And now I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up. Chapter 14 is one of the greatest things I've ever written. Chapter 13, 24 superfoods for seniors to boost cognitive function. But then chapter 14 is my list, my anti-aging arsenal of supplements. And I keep republishing the book and expanding the list. The last time it went to the printer and came back, I had gotten up to 52, is it? Let me see how many is in this one. 52 of my anti-arsenic. 52 zinc picolinate. 51 vitamin E and tocotrienol complex. 50 is vitamin D3. These are all in alphabetical order. 45 Tonkat Ali. 46 transresveratrol plus, transresveratrol plus, very important. 47 trimethylglycine. 48 vitamin B12. 49 vitamin C. This is my list of anti-arsenal. I have 1, 2, 3 boxes of them over here, and then I need to reorder a bunch of them as well. I put this in your hands. I trust you will know what to do with it. The book is called Living Superfood Longevity. Earlier, we did this book for today. For Africa One says she appreciates this book, Industrial Hemp, Uses and Opportunities. Very important book. And also, I'm very proud to announce a new book. And don't you sleep on this one. You slept on years, 20, 30 years of me writing and publishing these books. And now people are wondering, well, doggone it, I'm so far behind, I'm not even going to try. You need to go ahead and commit. If you have to commit to a year worth of reading, an hour a day, I think it's very reasonable. I think it's very reasonable. It will save your life. It did save my life 2 times, and will allow you to live long, prospering, high-performing longevity. My plan is I plan to live to be as much as 124 years of age. That's my plan. And it's a very detailed plan. I'm sticking to it real straight. Yesterday, as part of the plan, I do push-ups every day. And I am in a senior category where what I do is absolutely amazing. Yesterday, I did 3 sets of push-ups. The first set was 300. The second set, 300, make it 600. And the third set was 325. So in 3 sets of push-ups yesterday, I did 925 push-ups at age 70. That's because I read my own book, Living Superfood Longevity, and I follow what's in it. You have to have a plan. You don't have to. You don't have to have ambitions to live to be fully functional, non-assisted until age 115 or 118, I think might have been my last count. I have it all worked out in this detailed book, and I may or I may not put my plan for longevity out as a book. I do want as many people to have it as possible because I want you to be around to prove to vow to everybody that I did what I said. I need you to be around till I'm at least 110, 115 years old. I really do want you to be around. But at the same time, I have put in so much detailed work, research, validating this for since I was 33 years old, that I think it's reasonable that I be compensated for a lifetime of work. Nearly 40 years I've been working on this. So do come along. A couple more comments have come in. I see you. Chaos Rain Show. We will talk about your show. He writes, good afternoon. Really? 900 push-ups? No, I said 925. 925 is pretty good. But I did set my personal record in the past 3 weeks or so. I did 1,100 push-ups in 3 sets. That's just a mere 3 sets. And I'm talking about a set is an unbroken from 1 to 325, counting no stop. And I'm right on the verge of breaking my 1,100 push-ups in 3 sets. And Chaos Rain, he says, of Tao Kamasi Mukwele, as opposed to consuming a diet that enhances one's power. Much respect, Baba Kiti, and much respect. Thank you for being a part of our family. We're going to move forward. I'm going to wrap it up. We began at 9 o'clock, so I've been going a little overtime. The books are getting longer and longer, and I am so into these books. I am so into these books that I can't help but want to give as much of them to you as possible. Do get the new book. He says, too bad, damn, too bad there's no video on that. You know, I did videotape it because people would always say, well, I don't believe you. Do a videotape. And I did do a videotape. It didn't matter. The same ones who insisted I do a videotape, there was no reaction at all to them after that. So why go through all of that process of videotaping, all of that, just to put it out there and the people go, And so there have been people around, my friends, that have been around and watched me do it. Curtis has seen me do it. My daughter has seen me do it. My daughter's best friend saw me do it. Others have done it, close relatives and friends and things. They've watched me do it. So I don't necessarily appreciate the demand that I validated by videotaping it. If you're around, if you're in Las Vegas and you come by for dinner, I'll be glad to do my push-ups in front of you. I'm not going to do 400 in front of a group because 400 makes me sweat, and I don't like sweating, breaking a sweat, because I had to change my clothes and all of that. But if you want to see me do 200, that's nothing. 200 push-ups for me is nothing. So come on, everybody. Let's do. It's not how much I do or what I do or how I do them. I'm trying to inspire you, because many of you out there are much younger than I am, much younger than 70 years of age. And so therefore, it's not what I do, it's what I inspire you to do and give you the tools and the tips. And I will tell you, I will train you how to do a phenomenal set of push-ups, more push-ups than you have ever done before. I will train you how to do it. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. It's not going to be instant. But I can guarantee you, if you can do 40 push-ups today, by 1 week away, that will be 65 push-ups. That's not unreasonable. I can remember when I turned about 66 years old, I did 66 push-ups or so on that day. I was so proud of myself. But that was what, 4 years ago. Now, my personal record for a single set of push-ups stands at 500. And just this week, 2 days, 3 days ago, I did 425. So come on. You are wonderful. Chaos Rain says, yeah, the normal 20-something can't do 30 push-ups. Yes, you can. You can. You can. They can. Because I wrote a book called Big Up Manhood. Big Up Manhood. And in the book, Big Up Manhood, I insisted, and anyone taking the class, we taught a class, and we're going to bring up another class on Big Up Manhood. Anyone taking the class was, by the end of 30 days, able to do at least 40 push-ups in a single set. You have to do that because there are solutions that need to be brought to bear for our people in saving our lives when a man's strength becomes critically necessary and you don't have time to build up your push-up routine. You've got to be able to get in, be strong in an instant and save someone's life. A man's strength is going to be necessary. So I insist in that class, Big Up Manhood, that you get your body prepared to do 40 push-ups in one set, no problem. I started with 25. And in a week, I built that up to 50. You can do what you will to do. And on that note, I want to thank you all for being with us today. You've been tuned into your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We want to encourage you to step up your game. We can do whatever we will to do. And I just want to emphasize that point. Now, where are we at? We're going here, and we're playing. This is where bumper music. We're going out. I want to thank you for tuning in today. I did mention the book, Big Up Manhood. Big Up Manhood is the book to transform your masculinity. That's why you tune in to your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIV Radio, LIV TV, and livinginblack.com. Tell your friends to tell their friends that we have our own now. And we're very proud of what we do. We're very proud of who we are. And very proud of our ability to transform ourselves first so that we can transform the larger community. We're good. The books are at the Conscious Rasta Press is where to find the books, including the new book just out now. The new book is, I've got it in my hands, Bio-Colonialism, the Technocratic War on African Fertility and Food. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you.